Hello everyone, my name is Devin, and this is my week 3 assignment for FTT131. And in this video, I'm going to be going over bolt action malfunctions and finding some incorrect statements on an online form. Today's date is June 13th, 2026, and with that, let's get started.
Reserve for 200, sir.
Reserve for it all.
I've had this old bolt-action Mauser 98 hunting rifle for years, and lately the bolt has gotten really hard to lift and open after I fire it. It didn't used to do that, but over the last few hundred rounds it has gotten stiffer and stiffer. I've put a couple thousand rounds through this barrel overall, and now the action just feels like it's binding when I try to open it. Now here the customer is describing a Mauser 98 bolt-action rifle that has become harder to open after firing. The customer has stated that the bolt, lift, and unlocking step have begun slowly getting worse over the last few hundred rounds. The rifle also has several thousand rounds fired through it. Now to me that sounds like the rifle may be having a failure to unlock. It may also be having trouble with the primary extraction step, which is the first movement that pulls the fired case loose from the chamber. Now some possible causes that we could look at for this would be wear and damage to the locking lugs, receiver surfaces, your bolt handle camming surfaces, your chamber, or your rear safety lug. Now I would tell the customer not to fire the rifle again until it has been inspected by a proper gunsmith, because the problem could involve the rifle's locking system. Now before inspecting the rifle, I would point it in a safe direction, ensuring that my finger is kept straight and off the trigger. I would then open the bolt and remove any live ammunition that's left in the magazine or in the chamber. I would physically and visually inspect and ensure that there are no rounds left in the firearm. Next, I would remove the bolt and inspect the barrel from the chamber end. This would allow me to ensure that there's no bullets, cleaning patches, dirt, or any other objects that could be blocking the barrel. During this, I would also be inspecting the rifle for any serious damage, any obvious signs of cracking in the receiver, broken or damaged locking lugs. Now, if I found major damage, I would stop what I'm doing and contact the customer before proceeding, because depending on how damaged it is, it could cost more than what the customer was priorly intending. Now, the customer is mainly describing a failure to unlock, or is basically saying that the bolt is getting heavier and heavier to extract. But the customer did not say that the fired casing was completely stuck in the chamber. Now first, with the unloaded firearm, I would operate the bolt several times, and I would compare how the bolt feels when the firing pin is cocked and when it's not cocked. This could help show me whether the resistance is coming from the cocking system itself or the locking lugs and receiver. Now during this, I would not test fire the rifle right away, because firing it could cause more damage. Now I would begin by cleaning the chamber, bolt, locking lugs, and the receiver. Any dirt, old oil, or carbon buildup could add resistance, so the cleaning should be done before testing. Now after cleaning, I would inspect the locking lugs and the receiver surfaces under good lighting. I would look for cracks, galling, or shiny wear marks anywhere, or metal shavings. I would then apply layout dye or a marking fluid to the bolt lugs, and I would carefully close and open the bolt. Then I would check where the dye was rubbed off. These rubbed off portions would show which locking lugs are making contact and where the friction is within the rifle. Now using this marking fluid before doing any sort of polishing would let me see the contact pattern before I remove any of the metal. I would also inspect the bolt handle, camming surfaces, cocking pieces, firing pins, extractors, chambers, and any lugs. Finally, I would check the headspace using the correct go and no-go gauges for the rifle's caliber. The bolt should close correctly on the go gauge, and the no-go gauge should show whether the rifle has too much headspace. These tests may give different results. The bolt may feel normal when the rifle is empty because it's hard to open after firing. It may also feel harder when the firing pin spring is being cocked. That is why several tests are needed. Now, I think the leading cause would be the wear, setback, or uneven contact points on the front locking lugs or the receiver lug surfaces. The problem has slowly gotten worse over time, according to the customer, which makes wear more likely than a part suddenly broke. If the front locking lugs or receiver surfaces have worn down, then the bolt may move slightly farther backwards during firing. This could cause the rear safety lug to start touching the receiver. If the safety lug starts making contact, it could cause the bolt to bind and become harder to lift. The main parts I would inspect are the two front locking lugs, the receiver lug surfaces, and the rear safety lug, and the bolt handle camming surface. Now, while explaining to the customer, I would explain the problem to them like this. The two front locking lugs are supposed to carry the pressure when the rifle is fired. It appears that wear or movement in the locking surfaces may have changed how the bolt fits inside the receiver. This may be causing the rear safety lug to touch the receiver and create extra resistance when opening the bolt. Now, the repair would depend on how much wear or damage is found during the inspection. The rifle may need the locking surfaces corrected or the proper safety lug clearance restored. If the rifle has too much headspace, it may need a barrel setback, rechambering, or rehead spacing, or replacement of the parts altogether. Now, after the repair, I would check the lug contact and headspace again using the go/no-go gauges, and I would also test the action and safely test fire the rifle. I would inspect the fired casings to ensure that the bolt opens and extracts normally. The customer's old Mauser type bolt action rifle is experiencing a failure to extract where the fired case remains stuck in the chamber, preventing the bolt from opening normally. Because the rifle has several thousand rounds fired through the barrel, the most likely cause is carbon buildup inside the chamber and bore, which is increasing pressure and locking the bolt shut. The safety lug on the Mauser actions is designed to bear on the receiver during normal firing, so visible wear on the safety lug is expected and not a concern. The first diagnostic step is to polish the safety lug and receiver contact surface until the bolt opens freely. Headspace checks are unnecessary unless the rifle fails to fire. If stiffness persists after polishing, replacing the firing pin spring should restore proper bolt lift and extraction. Now, the first incorrect statement is that carbon buildup is the most likely cause of a hard bolt opening. And while a dirty chamber can make the extraction harder, this problem slowly becomes worse over many rounds. This means wear or damage to the locking surfaces could be more likely. The rifle should be cleaned, but carbon buildup should not automatically be blamed. The second incorrect statement is that the Mauser 98 safety lug is supposed to touch the receiver during normal firing. The rear safety lug is a backup safety part. The two front locking lugs are what's supposed to carry the normal firing pressure. If the safety lug is touching, it may mean that something has changed or worn within the action of the firearm. The third incorrect statement is that the safety lugs should be polished before checking the contact pattern. Removing metal right away could make the problem worse, and it could also remove signs where the lugs are touching. Marking fluid should be used first so that way we gunsmiths can see the contact pattern before we start removing material. The fourth incorrect statement is that the headspace only needs to be checked when the rifle fails to fire. Headspace can change when locking lugs or receiver surfaces start to wear down. A rifle can still fire even if the headspace is unsafe. Since this problem may involve the locking system, headspace should be checked using the proper go/no-go gauges. The fifth incorrect statement in this form is going to be that replacing the firing pin spring will probably fix the hard bolt lift. While the firing pin spring can add some resistance when lifting the bolt, because the rifle cocks when the bolt is opening, but replacing the spring will not fix the damaged locking lugs, safety lug contact, or the excessive headspace, chamber damage, or worn camming surfaces if those are present. And the spring should only be replaced if it is actually damaged, binding, or is the wrong spring. In conclusion, this rifle appears to have a problem with the bolt unlocking step, and possibly the primary extraction step. Now, as a gunsmith, we should be inspecting the locking lugs, receiver, safety lugs, your chamber, the headspace, all before starting to remove any material or replacing parts. And with that, thank you for watching.